Please be seated. Good morning, everyone. We are here this morning to pay the last respect for a wonderful, wonderful person, Sandy Dryerman, father, brother, grandfather, and lovely friend. I would like to restart the service by reading Psalm 23rd, Psalm of David. מזמור לדוד, אדוני רואי לא אחסר, בי נודה שירביצני, על מי מנוחות ינהלני. נפשי ישובב, ינחני, במאג לצדק למען שמו, למען שמו. גם כי אלך בגיא צל מוות, לא אירא רע, כי אתה עמדי, שבטך ומשענתך, שבטך ומשענתך, המה ינחמוני, תערוך לפני שולחן נגד צורריי. דשנת בשמן ראשי, כוסי רוויה, אך טוב וחסד ירדפוני כל ימי חיי, ושבתי בבית אדוני לאורך ימים. I would like to invite his sister Marshall Sussman to speak a few words about her brother.
I need a breath. It's hard to know where to begin talking about someone who has been a part of your life from the very, very beginning. Sandy was almost 5 years older than me when his world changed, and he was presented with a baby sister. I've been told it was very rough going for him at the start, and in fact, he stood by the door of the apartment and wouldn't let my parents bring me into the apartment. And why should he have? He should have been resistant to this little usurper. After all, he had been king of the hill. He was the only child at that point. He was the first grandchild on both sides of the family. He was a spoiled only nephew of two very devoted uncles who were bachelors at the time. And when he was confronted with a baby sister who can't walk, can't talk, can't play, so why does she have to share the spotlight? Interestingly enough, aside from that initial shock and our very rocky start, he was a wonderful big brother. And while as kids we had the usual sibling tussles and fights and arguments along the way, we really enjoyed each other's company. And of course, there were many times as a kid that Sandy, being Sandy, tried to convince me that I was adopted from a Native American tribe and that my parents were constantly going to evaluate whether they should return me. And then there was also the time when he told me that little green Martians lived under my bed in the bedroom that we shared. So every night I would have to bend down under the bed and look to make sure they were not there. But other than that, he was fine. But overall, he was a very caring, protective big brother who celebrated whatever I achieved and consoled me in any disappointments I may have encountered. And I hope he said the same of me. He was generous with his time and inclusive with his activities. When he got his first job at 16, and remember at that point, this was a very long time ago, and at that point the minimum wage was like 75 cents an hour, he used part of that first paycheck to buy a sweater that I liked in a store on Fordham Road. I don't know which emotion was stronger, my joy at receiving this gift or his pride at having been able to provide it for me with money he earned himself. Sorry. Okay, come on, you can do that. Okay, I need us. That may be the end of the speech. I cannot separate. I'm sorry, thank you. I'm just shaking. Thank you. I'm going to change gears here for a moment. You know, they say you don't realize what you have until you lose it, but I truly believe Sandy knew exactly what he had and relished it. You see, in the game of life, my brother finished a very wealthy man. He had a loving, devoted wife of 59 and a half years. He had 2 very caring, dedicated children. He had 2 in-law children that he regarded as his own. He had 5 very special grandchildren who were the center of his world, and an extended group of family and friends. So you have to say my brother won the game of life. However, for the past year or more, with the diagnosis of Parkinson's disease, which is what a horrible, horrible disease, Sandy's world changed, and certainly not for the better. It was a difficult blow for a strong man used to being in control of his life and his surroundings to suffer the indignities of this debilitating disease. But in the end, he was calm, peaceful, and resolute. So Sandy, while this moment is very hard to accept your passing, we will be comforted by the thought that this is what you wanted. You did not want to linger in the throes of this disease, nor to be remembered as the person it was turning you into. As you yourself said, you were ready to go. We will always remember you for the loving, bright, vibrant man that you were. I love you and I miss you already. Rest in peace, because you deserve it.
Thank you. Amen. His lovely daughter, Carrie Chalop.
How to describe my dad. A big guy, tough on the outside, but he really was a gentle giant. He was a proud Jewish boy from the Bronx whose family meant everything to him. He was stubborn and strong. Dad lived by 2 rules. Number 1, family first. Number 2, it's my way or the highway. He really lived by that rule more so. Dad and Mom met when they were teenagers at a pool club in the Bronx. I guess their marriage set a good example for us. Alan and I met when we were 15 and 16. David and Michelle met when they were 16. And Zach and Rosie met when they were 12. Dad was everything to Mom. He taught her about Judaism by sharing his love for it and brought her into his loving family, showing her how important a good family is, something she always wanted. Mom and Dad started off life in the Bronx, then moved to Plainview, and finally to Melville. Over the years, they made lifelong friends that are like family. They did almost everything together once they were retired, especially their favorite activity, canasta. You could never plan anything on a canasta day. They enjoyed traveling, going to shows, and going out to eat with friends. They had a great life, raised a beautiful and close family, and were married for 59 and a half years. The day I was born, Dad was super excited about becoming a father. He was hoping for a boy, but got a girl. He went to share the good news with his grandmother, but sounded very disappointed when telling her, it's a girl. She supposedly set him straight by hitting him with a frying pan and telling him he had a healthy baby. It doesn't matter if it's a girl or a boy. Little did Dad know that girl would be just like him. Dad and I always had a very special bond. Sometimes that bond was very loud. We didn't always agree, but I always knew how much he loved me, and he had my back, and I had his, no matter what. I was definitely Daddy's little girl. Dad played an active role in my childhood. He was always involved with all of my activities and knew all of my friends. Our house was a traditional Jewish home, welcoming and open to everyone. That's how Dad wanted it. We went on family vacations every year. It didn't matter where we went. A Dryerman vacation had to start at the crack of dawn with lots and lots of yelling and screaming to get out of the house on time because Dad hated to be late. Jewish life was important, and our family was very involved in Midway Jewish Center. After spending a summer on USY on Wheels, I wanted to start a USY chapter at our synagogue, and Dad made that happen. That is where I met Alan. When it came time for Alan and I to get married, Dad decided that our wedding cake had to have a traditional bride and groom, not the ceramic Mickey and Minnie bride and groom cake topper that Alan and I had purchased a few months before the wedding at Disney World while celebrating Dad's 50th birthday. That started a very loud discussion between Dad and I that ended in me telling Dad that this was the cake topper, or I wasn't coming to the wedding, and you can't have a wedding without a bride. Alan and I got married with the Mickey and Minnie cake topper, and both Dad and I were at the wedding, dancing and celebrating. Dad hated the term in-law. Alan was now his son. As wonderful of a father Dad was, he excelled in grandparenting. On August 2nd, 1995, Dad got the title he always wanted. He was not just a grandfather, he was a Zadie. As much as he loved the title Zadie, he never really cared what the grandkids called him. Sometimes it was Zadie, Zaid, Z, or as Siri called him, Z-eyed. He would say, "Call me anything, just call me." His grandchildren were his whole life. He lived for Zach, Alexa, Ben, Max, and Brooke. He can never say no to any of the grandchildren, ever. Zach and Zadie were buddies from the start. Zadie taught Zach to swim with a very unique approach. Throw Zach into the water and see what happens. Not mother and father approved. They did projects together in the laundromat. Lucky for Zadie, Zach fit behind the machines better than he did. Zadie couldn't wait to teach Zach how to drive. And yes, Zach drives just like Zadie. Oy vey. Shortly after Zach was born, Alexa came along. Dad fell in love instantly with his first granddaughter. He, along with Mom, got involved in her life and activities. He always encouraged Alexa and was proudest of her accomplishments. She was a star to him and blew him away with whatever she did. 3.5 years later, Ben came along. Ben had a special place in Zadie's heart because he was named for Pop-Pop, Zadie's dad. Ben and Zadie had their own adventures over the years, like going to the batting cage and driving range. He was always cheering Ben on during all of his soccer and basketball games. Zadie always wanted to make memories with the kids and be part of their lives. Bubby and Zadie were the best babysitters. They were at every band concert, chorus concert, camp visiting day, graduations, and every milestone. There were trips to Sesame Place, Great Wolf Lodge, Hershey Park, Cooperstown, Philly, Disney, England, a Mediterranean cruise in Cuba. Memories that will last a lifetime. Zach having a beer in London with Zadie, Alexa feeding pigeons in St. Mark's Square with Zadie, and of course Ben smoking a cigar with Zadie in Cuba. Zadie especially loved when Zach and Rosie would spend time with him. He was so happy when they got engaged. I want to thank everyone for coming today to honor my dad. The past few weeks have been rather difficult for our family, and we appreciate all the love and support from everyone. I don't think I could have gone through this without Alan by my side. Thank you, Alan, for always being there for me and our whole family over the years. A special thank you to Evie and Chelsea, as Dad called them his girls. You made Dad's last few months comfortable and kept him happy, especially when you called him Big Boss. Dad, Mimar and Pop-Pop taught you well. You always put our family first, which will be your legacy, that David and Michelle and Alan and I will carry on. You're a wonderful husband, father, and grandfather. You lived your life on your terms from day one until the end. I know the last few years were challenging, but just as you always stood with us to make us strong, we stood with you. You will be missed more than you will ever know by Mom and all of us. We love you very, very much. Rest in peace with Mimar and Pop-Pop.
Thank you very much. And I would like to invite his son, David Dryerman, please.
Thank you all for coming. For those of you who don't know me, I'm the other child, the quiet child, the one who moved away. I have many nicknames, but my proudest to be called Sandy's son. I'll get right to the point. Dad was not always the easiest to live with. He had a temper, he was opinionated, he was tough and direct. But when he liked you, you were forever his favorite. And he had many favorites. And when you were in, you were family. That's who Dad was. He was all about family. And he was protective of his family. Nothing made him prouder than when I would tell him something that started with, "Carrie and I were talking the other day." That's all he needed to hear, that his children worked in unison to help him protect and figure out whatever was needed to be done. Having his children talk to one another was nothing compared to when he would see his grandchildren interact with each other. That gave him the greatest and incredibly infectious smile and warmed his heart to no end. Zach, Alexa, Ben, Max, and Brooke were his beacon of light that would carry on his legacy for another generation. That's all he ever wanted, was to have the family stay together and celebrate together. Whether it was a traditional first night Seder at Carrie's house, or the annual Hanukkah party at mine, or any other occasion in between, he loved to see us all come together and laugh. But as I said, he was tough. When I was young, Dad was the coach of my soccer team. He would yell at all the kids, but always got the majority of the wrath over here. I was the one he would pull out of a game if something went wrong on the team, just so he can prove a point. He made us practice in shorts even when it was freezing outside. By the way, this might have been hereditary, because some 30 years later, I was coaching Max's soccer team in a blizzard and made them wear shorts. Another example is when I was 14 years old. I went to sleepaway camp. Tried to, at least. Within the first few days, I hated it. I threatened to run away into the woods if Mom and Dad didn't pick me up and bring me home. Finally, I broke them. But in doing so, I had to submit to Dad's terms. Those terms were waking up at 5 a.m. each day and driving from Plainview to New Rochelle to go to work with him at the car dealership. I was just to sit there, do nothing for 4 weeks, and be miserable. Didn't quite work out in Dad's way. It worked out in my favor, as they seemed to have liked me and asked me to do errands for them. At 14 years old, they let me drive cars around the parking lot without a permit or a license, something my kids would never do. But Dad was proud of the work ethic that I showed at 14 years old, that these people would let me just do things. I won't even get into the sink or swim conversation that I had. Zach's story might have been bad. I was thrown in a lake off of a boat and told to swim. I managed, apparently. A lot of psychiatric analysis from my wife now, but Dad always used to say, it's not what you know, but who you know. Street smarts were more important than book smarts. Going to college was important, but learning to be a person, not a walking brain, was what he believed in. In March of this year, Mom, Michelle, Carrie, Alexa, and Brooke went away for a night to celebrate Mom's 80th birthday. I stayed at Dad's place for the weekend to hang with him. Little did I know, on my drive out there, the banking world would implode. I spent all weekend on the phone and computer working to make sure my company's cash was safe. During a short break to eat lunch on Sunday, as things began to settle down, Dad turned to me and said, I never thought I would hear you talk to so many high-powered people and directing them what was happening to put everyone at ease within a crisis. The look in his eyes was pure pride. I melted right there and then. To me, hearing someone say, "I love you," is great, but hearing somebody say they're proud of you is another level. Engraved in my memory are the hockey games we would go to in the 80s with his contact with Ranger tickets, even though we always are and always will be Islanders fans. The traditional Memorial Day weekend doubleheader international soccer games, followed by a Cosmos game while we sat on the field with the photographers right behind the goal. I even got to walk onto the field and talk to my childhood hero, Pele, during one of those games, and Dad made that all happen. Then there was the 1994 World Cup at Giant Stadium that Dad and I went to. It was by far a highlight of our lives, a sport we loved together. All these memories are engraved in my brain for the fun times we had together. Because of those special memories, I strive to give the same to Max and Brooke. Whether it's a ski day with Brooke or a Springsteen concert with Max, Dad's legacy of having fun with your kids and sharing lifetime experiences with them continues through to me and my family. And I know Max and Brooke will continue it when they get married and start their own family. Not yet. I'm not sure how many times I said the word family in this speech, but that's what Dad was about. Family was the number one thing to him and lives within him, myself, Carrie, and our families. That was Dad. Dad, I love you so much and already miss you. There's a hole in my heart that can't be filled. Rest peacefully and enjoy eternity with me, Papa, and your entire family up there.
Thank you very much. After all this word, I don't have so much to fit up, but I try. Like we say that Sandy and Diane, they met when they was younger, 15 and 16, on the pool. And they was together so many years, and they met the marriage on 1964. And they live in Bronx. Both of them built a business for dry cleaners, and they have two wonderful kids, David and Carrie, or Carrie and David, like we said that. And they always went to, like you heard, always Sandy important for him to go with the kids when he was little, or with the family to make a trip together. The word together, it's very important for him. And every place that they went to or lived to, they moved also to Plainview, 1972, and they was belonged to the synagogue there, Midway Jewish Center. But every place that they move, all the time they have friends, and people love this couple. And they have a very good life and happy life. 4 years ago, they went to the Melville. They moved there, also a nice place, relaxed place, and they have also good time there with friends. And we are like all Westbury, we are very happy to have this wonderful couple to be with us every high holiday. And of course, all the bar mitzvah and bat mitzvah. And it was very proud that he's come to join us. And by personal, I know that when he met me, he always said, "Kentor, how was my children?" He talking about bar mitzvah children, you know. and it's very, very important for him. But the most important things that he wanted to teach us, we need to continue to keep tradition, Jewish life. And the Jewish life meaningful that we celebrate the holidays together, like a family. Like we heard here, Hanukkah, Passover, high holidays, it's very, very important. One more thing I think you can learn from that. On the Torah, we have 10 commandments. The important commandments on the Torah, he said, Kabed et avicha ve'et imecha. Respect your father and your mother. And then, the verses after that, he said, if you respect your parents, you have a long life. And you have to know, we have so many mitzvot on the Torah, 613 mitzvot on the Torah, 10 commandments. The only mitzvah, we have one more mitzvah, but the only mitzvah they said, if you respect your parents, you have a long life. And I heard he learned him from his parents that they respect his grandparents, they take care about them. And on this moment, I think it's very, very important to respect our parents every day that we can. And they have a long life, and you have a long life. To his sister, Marsha Sussman, Carrie, and Ellen Chalob, Zach and Rosie, Alexa and Ben. And I'm going to be stopped a minute, like we said, that he was on the engagement last week. David and Michelle Dryerman, Max Brooks, Marsha, his sister, Sam, Bill, Kendall, Jane, and Brian. Our condolences for you. I would like now, please, everyone, please rise. I would like to recite El Melech Rachamim, the memorial service. His Hebrew name is Shmuel Meir Ben Chaim Dov. I take 2 words about his name. Meir, it's like light. Chaim, you know what that means, Chaim? Life. So we have a life, and he have also light every place that he went. El Melech Rachamim, שוכן במרומים, המצא מנוחה נכונה, תחת כנפי השכינה, במעלות קדושים וטהורים, כזוהר הרקיע, מזהירים לנשמת שמואל מאיר בן חיים דוב, שהלך לעולמו. בגן עדן תהיה מנוחתו, אנא בעל הרחמים, הסתירהו בסתר כנפיך לעולמים, וצרור בצרור החיים את נשמתו, אדוני הוא נחלתו, וינוח בשלום על משכבו, ונאמר Amen. Please remain standing. Now we're going to who is coming with us to the cemetery, Sharon Gardner Cemetery. We are going follow the casket, and the family sitting Shiva Sunday, Monday, 12 to 5, 7 to 9, 7:30 we have a service. The home is Carrie and Alan Chalop, 13 Werner Drive, Roslyn. And Tuesday and Wednesday, 12 to 5, 7 to 9, home of David and Michelle Dryerman, the Hill Lane, Woodcliff Lake, New Jersey. I would like to say it also Kaddish together. So, all the mourners, and if you want to join us, you can do it together. יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה, בעלמא דברה קירותי וימליך מלכותי, בחייכון וביומכון ובחיי דכל בית ישראל, בעגלה ובזמן קריב ואמרו אמן. יהי שמי רבה מבורך לעולם עולמי עולמיה. יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא. ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי דקודשה בריחו. לעילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה. תושבחתה ונחמתה דמירן בעלמה ואמרו אמן. יהי שלמה רבה מן שמיה. וחיים עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו. הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו אמן. Would like to invite the immediate family near the casket. We're going to be going out together, and then please, all the rest, please wait until the casket going down.